A query. Dost thou frighten easily? Before thee answer, best consider thou. If sayest nay, then on thine own thou be. Thy nightmares one and all thou didst allow. As I, Jack Crawford, charged to keep the peace, investigate such crimes most villainous as Homicide Division of Police. A spate of murders with which am I vexed. This villain's raging madness knows no end. A blackguard, known only as Buffalo Bill, evadeth every chance to apprehend. How doth a madman think? Ask one who's mad. A former doctor, rotting in his cell, may prove himself an efficacious tool. His brilliance I remember all too well. Mere murder, insufficient to these curs, did thus abominations multiply, as blood spilled to the cobbles, and far worse, a plaint of guiltless pain didst pierce the sky. Unknowing, shall I send a student forth? Unethical? Perhaps. A mere ha'porth, a novice, Clarice Starling, hath impressed in acumen and demonstrated skill. With keen and cunning wit hath she been blessed, as well as with tenacity of will. A Dr. Chilton outlines protocol. Mark him well, for very thou must not, and nothing personal must thou reveal. Thou wouldst not have this doctor in thy head. O ne'er forget the thing that lector be.
That is...
A monster, to the last degree. A boon, although, to our facility. We have assisted the police ere now, but seldom one so fair of face as thou. I prithee, art thou staying overnight? Our city can be one of rare delight.
Alas, sirrah, I must needs say thee nay. My findings here I must report today.
Then to his fiendish lair without delay. Our standard tests he's baffled in due course. His madness doth his brilliance ne'er abate, and as perceived nemesis perforce reserves for me a vitriolic hate. Jack Crawford chose thee well.
What meanest thou?
A winsome lady, fair of shape and face. 8 years, I ween, since he beheld thy like, a perfect match for his especial taste.
Ne'er darkened I the door of a charmed school.
Then canst thou more easily retain the rules. Thou shalt not touch, nor in approach the bars. Pass nothing but soft paper to his cell, no quills or sharpened objects. And should he attempt to pass, thou must refuse, then tell me what it was. Have I made myself clear?
Abundantly, not one word have I missed.
To reinforce, then, why such rules exist. Some time ago, pled he of intense pain within the chest, and thinking to assist with full examination, did a nurse unloose from him his strictures and restraints. Forthwith, when bent she o'er him, did he this. The surgeon set her jaw, and saved one eye. Her cheek was as a purse string, all unstrung. His heart stayed at a comfortable pace when with 3 gulping bites, he ate her tongue. The beast is kept in here.
Perhaps, sirrah, if enmity in thee he doth perceive, 'twould thus be best if thou wouldst take thy leave.
thou mayst have mentioned previous to this time.
Deny myself thy company sublime?
Oh, I can find thy carnal flesh by scent.
Good morrow.
Doctor, I'm Clarice Starling.
By way of Jack Crawford hast thou flown here? Hast thou credentials I may peruse? Or such a distance can I hardly see. Pray, close the gap of thy proximity. A near and finite date doth this reveal. Thou art not yet official, then, I feel.
My training doth continue, sir. 'Tis true.
I mirror trainees in Jack Crawford's view.
My purpose, Dr. Lecter, is to learn. And from thy wisdom canst thou best decide if my poor efforts be thus qualified.
When passed thou Miggs, the schizo, back this way, I heard her hiss at thee. What did she say?
Oh, I can find thy carnal flesh by scent.
Ah, I cannot make said claim for I myself. A fragrant lotion, though, doth grace thy skin. A tincture of vanilla still doth stay, and then betimes his l'air du temps perfume upon thy throat caress, but not today.
By thine own hand? The drawings on thy wall?
Duomo, as seen from the Belvedere.
Such detail. Be they culled from memory all?
Memory I have, but not of you, I fear.
Perchance then, Doctor, wouldst thou lend thy view to us for this briefest questionnaire?
Nay, I say thee nay! 'Tis such a shame thy progress was at first so promising, both courteous and receptive of the same, and trust built thou a truth of neighbor Miggs, but this? Ham-handed, open-faced, ask thou wilt answer these our questions. Shan't do.
I merely ask. 'Tis yea or nay.
Quite true. Exceeding busy must Jack Crawford be, if succor seeketh he from raw recruits. Mayhap the naughty buffalo he seeks, what strips his victims of their birthday suits. I prithee, whence the name, this Buffalo Bill? The penny dreadfuls all refuse to say.
A churlish jest, meant only for police. Began it thus, oh, this one skins his humps.
Wherefore in thy view doth he flay their skins? Canst thou enthrall me with thine acumen?
To ease a mind both troubled and impure. A carnal thrill receiveth he, 'tis sure, and trophies murderers often do assume.
Not I.
Nay, thine own thou didst consume.
Give up thy queries that I may read. Art I a fool, unworthy of respect, that with this blunted tool thou wouldst dissect?
Nay, only that thine intellect.
Ambition guides thy every waking step. Shall I describe thee as thou dost beseem? A clown thou art, a preening yokel thee, a low-born jackanapes, though with some taste. Thy gait, thy dress, the manner of thy speech, betray a childhood thoroughly debased. Chuck, doth thy father labor in the mines, or farm mayhap with odorous ovines? Ripe pickings must the lads have sensed in thee. Thy limbs display, the boys would die, while only dreamest thou of being free. A strife for its Starling, yearning for the sky.
Perceptive thou art, Doctor. I confess. Art strong enough to view thyself the same? Or wouldst perception yield to cowardice? For such, in thine own case, no one could blame.
A stranger at my door had little sense. The fool, to test me, made a poor attempt. I ate his liver and accompaniments with equal parts gusto and sheer contempt. Now, fly thee back to school with all due haste.
I bid clean through. Oh, let me die! 'Tis pouring out. See how the blood does splash!
Thou feeble specimen of more than mine!
Starling! Starling! Hide thee to myself! That loathsome Miggs, such gross indignity, such rudeness be unspeakable to me.
Then, Doctor, take my test.
I say thee nay, yet shall I make thee happy in my way. A chance to have that which thou lovest best.
'Tis what?
Advancement, far above the rest. Now, hearken close, look deep within thyself, and seek thee Hester Moffat from my past, a former patient, Moffet. Go now. Biggs be a double-damned loon, but still doubt I she can repeat so soon. Now, hence, away!
I have for thee some news of Miggs' untimely death within his cell. A suicide, so they would fain believe.
What cruel fortune hath this Miggs befell?
A man from whom both reason and remorse seemed as far removed as west is from the east, yet both were diabolically stirred by Lecter, master chef, and fiendish beast. Last evening, an inmate didst overhear the doctor whispering as Miggs wept and wept. Then followed sounds of gustatory bent. His final meal's tradition thus was kept. 'Twas none of fortune's doing, this we know. 'Twas Lecter's cruel genius thus provoked. As dawn arose, and ere the lark had sung, expired Miggs, on his own tongue had choked.
Is aught known why as to how this happened?
Who knows how twisted madmen's brains doth stir? Still, best to focus on the case at hand. How now doth news of Hester Moffat stand?
Too puerile seemed his deep within thyself. Such quirk of his demeanor seemed unfit. A service, thy self-storage have I found. Miss Moffat a compartment has within. Thus shall I forage for I know not what, and brief thee of my findings come the morn. When my initial shock abated thus, cold-blooded clues could I plainly see. A word conundrum, sir, an anagram, Miss Hester Moffat, Miss the rest of me. With such thou wilt find me a ready match.
Thy bleeding ceased.
But how? 'Tis just a scratch. What foully murdered wretch doth now repose, decaying in apothecary's jar?
Thou should mayhap ask after our man Bill.
Why, know you aught?
How can I from afar? If only I could read the subject's file, you could procure.
What twisted, murderous guile would prompt you thus, to lead me to a place where Hester Moffat, thus called, breathed her last?
'Tis Benjamin Raspail, patient past. In most pursuits, especially those erotic, had he proclivities that were exotic. But 'twas not I who evicted soul from corpse, merely took exactly what I found when thrice he missed appointments in due course.
Who was his killer, then?
When should I know? His best thing. His therapy had run aground.
Proclivities exotic. 'Tis thy word. And thus was Raspail...
In this life, oh no. Depressive mania, plumb, tedious. A fledgling killer made his first attempt with transformation fetish, foul, unkempt. How felt you when you first beheld his face?
A fright, at first, and then exhilarated.
Jack Crawford wants to help you with your career. He likes you, and I think you like him too, despite his age. Considered have you thus, he would fain form the two-backed beast with you?
Such talk, sirrah, I find a frightful bore. Fie, something Miggs would say.
She speaks no more.
Wherefore thy drawing? Vanished from thy walls?
Bombastic tripe from hypocritic prigs, and all my graphic art did he purloin, a punishment from Chilton for poor Miggs. His petty torments doth he so enjoy. 8 years my soul doth rot here, and alas, whilst I draw breath, never shall I be free. So I yearned for a vista of mine own, of water, trees, a beach. The sand and sea leave Chilton thus behind to roast in hell. Oh then, could I endure life in a cell?
Why speakest thou of fledgling killers, then? Dost thou imply that he hath killed
A
again?
profile on our bill do I proffer, one well beyond pedestrian police. Thou art correct in what thou must infer.
His apprehension shall I ensure, Clarice.
The fiend's identity you surely know. I do implore thee, sirrah, to divulge.
Good things oft take their leave to travel slow. The luxury of time can I indulge, but on thy head time heavily must weigh. Our Billy may have sighted his next prey.
An ass. Companion full of strength. By heaven above, my burden thus relieved. On my horn, vain, adequate to work. This fortune's multiplied have I received.
Sirrah, though I be not what thou request, may I assist, and thou be less distressed?
Oh, a godsend art thy kindnesses indeed. My blundering effort have all come to naught. Take this cursed thing and move it thus towards and then inside my transport yonder. I beg a brief indulgence furthermore. Doth thy girth measure 10 4? fortunate. Unblemished, young, and fresh. Accursed thing. With such perfect flesh.
Foul business be our constant meat and meal. To safeguard life, we must survey the dead, and doings fit to make the blood congeal, perforce be uppermost in our head. A bloated, fetid corpse hath come aground, Frederica Bimmel, weighted down with chains, the first to disappear, last to be found, a fortnight thus submerged.
Such odious pains. What evidence, prithee, would indicate that our culprit be the cursed Buffalo Bill? The only one was she found in this state. None other bothered he to thus conceal.
Though time of disappearance mark her first, a grisly and unconscionable wound the lady bore to slake Bill's sanguine thirst. The pattern matches others we have found. Upon the mortuary slab she waits for our examination, and take heed, inhuman monsters leave inhuman marks, and saintly courage thou wilt surely need. Ah, constable, for thy help, many thanks.
'Twas not I who called to thee, but someone else. Thou hast our courtesy about what we've seen.
Beg restraint, sirrah. Thou understand, with deviant, erotic crimes such as this, abundant delicacy is required, and should not be discussed in company mixed. A ruse, milady, one that matters not, done lest the simple-minded interfere?
It matters none the less, sirrah. Reflect. Constabulary still observe their peers, and from thee seek they acceptable comport. With one ruse their manners didst distort.
A fair and reasoned hit. I take thy point.
Attention, kind and noble officers. For your proficient services, our thanks. And for her family as well, say I. Our ministrations for her must begin. And for her murderer, fair recompense. To gain sufficient room to machinate, respectfully, we urge all, hide thee hence.
And thus the work begins. What seest thou?
Blood from inflicted wound above the neck. Gauded be her visage, ergo town. A 10. An item lies within her maw.
Refuse, mayhap? Debris from river's flow? "'Tis curious, but lest mine eyes deceive."
A large cocoon by mouth she did receive. Its presence would the flow of air avert. Unnatural. By force he did insert.
Great gashes missing. Twice was flesh removed. from diamond-shaped incisions down her back.
Posthumous the flensing be again.
Mark well the carnage of this bloody bill, the fate of maidens 5 inscribed herein. Thou hast perused the corpus delicti. What details of this devil canst thou glean?
His skin belike be white, as are the maids. Most predators resemble thus their prey. His lair be not a lean-to in yon woods. I wager he inhabiteth a house.
How think you so?
Unlike a raging lust, his loathsome fetid passion passes time. Perforce a private den he doth require. Mayhap his 3rd or 4th decade hath come. The cunning patience that eludes the young, but prowess of the body hath he still. Whilst wild and reckless impulse he doth quell, I ween he shall stop for naught but death.
Wherefore?
The flavors of his first appeals. Experience doth whet the appetite.
Astutely reasoned.
And one thing else. We were an offer made some time ago of succor and of insight from a cell. I do begin to wonder if this be the reason I was sent, to thus entice. Do not mistake, objection have I none, though foreknowledge in future helps apace.
Had thee a plan, he surely would have known. His brilliance hath his madness left intact. A plaything had he made of thee, and when he finished, thou wouldst know no more of him. His mind is but a labyrinthine fog. Once enter, and canst not hope to egress. Thou did insist, doth not fright easily?
Dost easy thou consider this to be?
Forgive thou my interruption, as I must yon telegraph insist to meet thine eye.
Ruth Martin, I, the Senate,
represent. Affairs of state my heart containeth not. 'Tis family, my daughter Catharine. To spare her thus, the world would I have bought. My Catharine is but 25, and Catharine be kind and virtuous. My Catharine is worthy thus to live.
For Catharine's life,
there's naught I shan't forgive.
A clever thought. Her name to thus repeat.
If Bill perceiveth not a piece of meat, but fully human womanhood before, he may find murder thus a harder chore.
5 maids have run afoul of Buffalo Bill, but lately hath he made a grave mistake, misjudging Catherine Martin's noble birth. A senator's own daughter did he take. The senator postponed all her roles, and top priority she thus did give, to plead with unknown captors for her child, believing that her Catherine might live. The doctor, we believe, knows Billy's name. Alas, he hath no reason to divulge. A gambit as incentive we employ, and in a bald deception thus indulge.
How now? My patient thrice harangued be, accomplishing some undeserved spite. I be no simple-minded turnkey, nay, thou seest lector only by my right.
Sirrah, thou hast mistaken my intent. No disrespect was meant, nor e'en implied, but urgency doth supersede consent. Jack Crawford may thou call. Now stand aside. Should thy cooperation be foot, provided that young Catherine should live. Before your eyes, the senator doth put the comeliest of offers she can give. A transfer, the view of deepest woods, though strictest measures still perforce apply. And annually, 1 week of each year, to beaches on Plum Island shalt thou hie. A copy of the file on Buffalo Bill, the offer from the senator as well. No further terms or altercations hence. Should Catherine Martin die, enjoy thyself.
Isle Plum Research Facility for Sickly Animals. How charmed I be.
Center's but a speck. There's beauty there. Sea doth glisten on the sun's own hue. Nests of terns.
Terns? Yes, that doth intrigue. Should I deign to assist this maiden fair, there shall be terns betwixt us as well, but not about this case, about thyself. Thus, quid pro quo can be a rousing sport. Thy stakes a girl of privilege and pelf, how says Clarice? But Catherine's time grows short.
Perforce, I must submit. For Catherine's sake.
Thy bleakest childhood memory I shall take.
My father's death?
Untimely then, or slow? Attempt not to deceive, for I shall know.
Quintessence, both of fairness and of law. Martial and good, kind man was he. When villainous shopbreakers he did surprise, they shot him down, and then didst flee the scene. A month he lingered, till his body failed. 10 I was, and tragedy prevailed. My whole world had he been. I loved him so. Nothing. Where was left for me to go?
Surprising candor. Quite refreshing. Quite something would you be, I think, to know.
To quote thy good self, Doctor, quid pro quo.
Was Bimmel large, full-figured, soft and wide?
Indeed, as all Bill's victims were beside. Cocoons found in each throat, and without fail, to match the one in Benjamin Raspail. The moth it is which bears the head of death, their seed of life, thus stifled victim's breath.
To beauty from a hideous cocoon, a transformation wondrous to behold.
A change in gender carries not the yen, to wreak such havoc on the innocent. Most oft do they be passive.
Clever girl, thou art so close to capture, dost thou see?
I cannot, Doctor. Pray, enlighten me.
Thy father slain and orphan thou became, but whither hence? No words imagine I upon thy shoes.
My mother's cousin's place, Montana. To a ranch, vast and alive. 2 months there did I dwell.
Cattle ranch?
Nay, sheep and horses.
Prithee, why so brief?
Sirrah, ran I away.
But tell me why. The farmer, forced wert thou to play a tune upon an aging skin flute? Or perhaps a son of Sodom lifted up thy skirts and forced between thy nether cheeks his brats?
Nay, had he character beyond reproach. Now, quid pro quo.
To change his visage, Bill did thrice attempt, but his desires faced opposition from yon clinics 3.
Grounds for rejection?
Trauma betrayed he. Our Billy was not born a monster, but was made. Abuse systemic from childhood years, and violence with self-loathing be wed. In tacit opposition to Descartes, our Billy is not as he thinks he is. A new form, he believes, deep within his soul will quieten the demons in his head. But alas, his profile far more savage be, as witnessed by a growing list of the dead.
The thing below hath ointment to apply. When orders it receives, it doth comply.
Consider, sir, my wealthy family will make thee rich, provided I be free.
The ointment it applies, its hide be dry. I wield the hose, perforce. It must comply.
Prithee, good sir, my mother I would see.
The ointment shall be placed in basket here.
Please, sir!
Cankered whore, canst thou not hear? Return forth with my ointment, wretched worm!
Thou dreamest still of vistas and a beach. Thy plans are premature, I strongly feel. 2 missives were exchanged and thus confirmed, my dearest Hannibal. There was no deal. Would that thou couldst behold thy face betrayed, like finest mandolins thou hast been played. The deal 'twas not, but rest assured 'tis now. And as thy benefactor have I made a profitable deal for parties all, when once his true identity is said. A transfer shalt the senator arrange, provided that her daughter doth survive. One last chance, wretch. Reveal this monster's name, or shalt thy view eternal be the same.
Bill's true forename be Lewis. More I have, but only for the senator herself. And I have some conditions of mine own.
We travel with the dawn. Collect thyself, and make of thee a less disgusting sight.
My sympathies to thee about thy news. Our missives inadvertently were mixed. Johns Hopkins' residency thrice denied. Thy fortune thus deservedly be fixed.
Thrice double-damned abominable curse! Thou shouldst have faced the gibbet without fail. Thy fetid corpse displayed for all to see. Thou hast for one day excrement enough spewed out into the world and left to rot. Thus shall I give an orderly command forthwith to come remove thy chamber pot.
Oh, Chilton! Churlish, preening bacon face, a plague upon thy meddling and thy birth. Incalculable mischief hath thou wrought. Thy brain, the very inverse of thy girth. Bill's name, thus snatched away, the senator had him, despising our deception, had him moved, a cell, but not his own, and with new guards, whose fitness to their charge hath not been proved. Whilst Catharine's time grows double short apace, Clarice is lost, removed from the case.
We be thy wardens, names Pembry and Boyle. If civil thy demeanor proves to be, partakest thou thrice daily meat and drink, and rest thy weary bones upon a cot. Good doctor, must I ask a further boon? Thy mark upon the form, the deed is done.
I bear a writ for thy new liberties. Mayhap thou wouldst peruse with quill in hand?
In parley or trifling bagatelle, I shall not waste thy time nor Catharine's. Too much already hath been bled away by foolish Crawford and his little bird. I shall forthwith assist thee to the hilt, and trust thee when this bloody course hath run.
Forsooth, sirrah, you have my solemn vow.
Our quarry bill be known as Lewis' friend. Intriguing, though I met the man once, referred by patient Benjamin Raspail. But dark foreboding Benjamin didst have when Lewis chose to end a vagrant's life by encrafting from his skin a madman's toy.
Where is the villain? Doth recall his face?
In infancy were thine own breasts alone the fount on which dear Catharine did suck.
Pardon?
Fie, monster, what hast that to do?
Damned villain!
Sirrah, they were so?
Thus tender areolae turn to stone.
Now, bitches.
When once a varlet's leg receives amputation, it is said a ghost remains, a tickling of sorts. And when thy Catharine lies on the slab, where shall the tickling on thy body be?
Abomination! Hence! Return to hell!
Of middle height of 5'10", a sturdy frame of less than 13 stone, dark colored tresses, eyes chestnut brown, and nearly halfway through his 4th decade. His home, he claimed, is Philadelphia, but in this sole respect mayhap he lied. This be the sum of which I can recall, but I shall notify thee if this should change. And, Senator, I do beg a word. Admire, so I do, thy raiment fair.
'Tis lovely thou to see again, Clarice.
Thy drawings do I thus return to thee. Supplement. Till thou thy view acquire.
Oh, many thanks, considerate Clarice. Shall I surmise that Crawford sent thee here again to play a fool before thy role within this murderous affair expire?
No behest of his. 'Tis mine alone.
Take caution, lest they say we be in love. But Anthrax Island. Oh, thou jackanapes. Such dark and nuance did I most enjoy. A pity poor Catharine's time grows short, lest thou canst find at last our Billy boy.
Thou cry deception, yet thine own be thin. Thy Lewis friend, an anagram again. 'Tis iron sulphide. Fool's gold dost thou mean? 'Twas not I wasted Catharine's time, I ween.
That issue be thy life lacks merriment.
Thou didst reveal the truth to me before. Continue now. For her sake, I implore.
Perused have I the case file, though. Hast thou? Their tools abound to capture bloody bill. First principles, Clarice, simplicity. Of each thing ask, what is it in itself?
Marcus Aurelius.
What does he do? The nature of this villain thou dost seek.
He kills women.
Nay, incidental this. The primal need thus served lies deep within he covets. 'Tis his nature and his sin, and yet to covet how doth one begin? What we see daily, this be how we start. Thou feelest hungry eyes caress thy skin, and greedily thou covet, lust, and burn.
I prithee tell me how.
Nay, 'tis thy turn. Thou hast no seaside holidays to sell. What motive was there to escape the ranch?
Thou asketh now? Good sir, our time grows short.
Amusing as both terms be relative, and be I disinclined more time to give.
I beseech thee, sir, postpone.
I say thee nay! I hearken now to all thou hast to say. An orphan girl of 10, forced to live upon a ranch with sheep and horses, and...
I merely ran away. Through morning dew.
Not merely, dear Clarice. What wakened you?
A noise I heard that roused me from my sleep. 'Tis screaming or child in agony, darkest thoughts among the ones I held. Went I outside and crept into the barn, and heard the lambs all voice their deep distress.
Ranchers slaughtering the springtime lambs.
Such screaming. The noise was deafening. Their liberation thus did I attempt. Alas, the madness thus, they could not run.
But verily you could, and thus you did.
One lamb took I into the cold dark grave.
Whither thou?
Faith, sirrah, I knew not. I only wished to spare just one this pain. Its weight was greater than I first had thought, seemingly increased with every pace. A few miles only did I reach, until a constable returned me to the ranch. My cuz, displeased, to workhouse was I sent.
What happened to your lamb?
He too was killed.
Haunting memory doth persist, I ween. Thou still awaken to despairing screams. And dost thou think, if Catharine thou release, the screaming lamb shall lead thee to thy peace?
Sirrah, I know not.
Countless thanks, Clarice.
Tis now thy turn.
Away, thou pestilence.
Good doctor. Quid pro quo. His name. With haste.
Oh, brave Clarice, thou must inform us me whene'er the lambs are still, and let thee be.
His name!
Clarice!
His name.
Farewell, Clarice.
Demanding glutton, enervating cur, a second supper, lamb chops passing rare.
His breakfast meal care I not to know.
Oh, ready as thou art.
Thou knowest well.
I fain would ask thee, mind the drawings, please. Ready as thou art, Sergeant Pembry.
His weapon's gone! The fiend hath armed himself. Repeat, the fiend hath gone and now is armed. Attend! Thou breath be shallow, still he lives! Conveyance should arrive anon, forthwith. Hold fast his hand and talk. His name be James.
A glance askew, and thus he hath escaped. And yet no apprehension do I feel. The doctor heaps no malice on my head. To murder me he would consider rude. A labyrinth of gore created he, but still cannot abide dishonesty. And notes, Lecter scribbled in the files. His insight on the case presented there. A passing, puzzling pattern Bill adopts, appearing random. I think 'tisn't so. But whence the pattern? How doth all make sense? The first to die was last to thus be found. Frederica Bimmel only weighed he down. Careless laxity toward the rest? Oh, I think not. But why then would it be that she alone should be abused thus? First principles the doctor did exhort, and urged to re-examine the first kill. We covet what we see from day to day. My God, the Bimmel maid was known to Bill.
Good Bimmel, thy indulgence be a boon, as justice for thy daughter still be sought.
Canst not imagine what thee hope to find, and new enlightening insight have I not. Constabulary search and search again. Frederica boarded transport so to seek employment in the city on that day, and when her search was done, then she did call. Mundanities and dull minutiae. Passing difference. Had I but known, I ne'er again would hear my daughter's voice. Hast thou a spouse or children?
Nay, good sir.
It matters not. Dull thou'll say thee love, test, and often to the simple fact. For youth and health be but a poor defense against the roaring of capricious fate. Whilst apathetic time doth sit enthroned impervious to pleas for yesterday. For all thee love, remember and hold fast to each encounter. Mayhap be thy last. Forgive the ramblings of a man bereft. Her room be here? Exactly as 'twas left.
This be Crawford.
Sir, Frederica Bimmel's back was flensed of flesh, 2 oblong diamond shapes the beam did carve, identical to ones found on dressmaker patterns in her room. As tailor, Bill hath acumen acute. From stolen flesh makes he a woman's suit.
Clarice, have we the monster's name at last? A passing foolish error made he, Thus traced we a shipment of exotic moths. 'Twas taken by a man named Jamie Gum. Hie thee to Bimmel's neighbors, there to see what further information thou canst find.
Fine news indeed. A miracle divine.
Not thus, Clarice. This victory is thine.
Away, thou odious and rancid form. Twig betwixt thy thighs, a hateful thing. Though no small pleasure do I now derive, for a mirror thus to press and preen. O Giannis, multifaceted deity, whilst I adjust this wretched slab of meat, thy countenance for mercy's sake avert. I adapt a spirit passing sweet, not merely sweet, but comely as a minx, and manly lust do I exacerbate. But on thy heads I neither blame nor fault. Were I two people, I should fornicate!
Good day, sirrah. I seek an audience with Mrs. Lipman.
Have they moved hence?
I prithee stay. I must have words with thee.
Some issue, officer?
I wish to see the elder Lipman, as she hath employed a Frederica Bimmel. And, thy name, sirrah?
Jack Gordon?
Mr. Gordon, didst thou know the girl, Frederica?
Nay, but hold, forsooth was she enormous, passing fat?
She had some extra pounds.
Oh, I recall that. And Lipman had a son. Perchance he knows the whereabouts of his mother. Have I his card? If thou wilt come hither, shall I fetch it for thee? 'Tis hid amidst the clutter of my life.
Have specialized police discovered aught? Local constables have not a clue. Here be the requested card.
I bid thee stay, and place thy hands upon thy wicked head. Stay! Fortune be thou kind. Be you means to rescue from this evil-fetid pit. Confided have I been for days unknown. Art Catherine Martin? I say it, I! Pay heed. Authorities I send forthwith. But passing vital doth thy silence be. Thy safety be secured. This do I vow. To conquer must I quit thy company. Oh, nay, thou feckless harpy! Leave me not! Unhinged demon that my
Investigator Starling, said aloud, hath quite a fitting ring. Thou shouldst be proud.
'Tis pride enough, sirrah, to work with thee.
And passing proud thy father surely be.
Investigator Starling.
I must ask, hath all the lambs been quieted at last?
Oh, Dr. Lecter.
Nay. Have I no plans to make a meal of issues from our past? More interesting thou make this weary world. And this assurance do I plainly state, too much I fear that thee reciprocate?
Thou knowest well that such I cannot make.
Thy honesty I do already miss. Prolonged words with thee would be divine. I fear, though, must we wait to reminisce. An old friend I am meeting thus to dine.
Dr. Lecter?
Dr. Lecter? Dr. Lecter?
Dr. Lecter!
One evil vanquished, as another grows, the virtuous must bear, perforce to know, the weighty burden of futility, eternally to reap what evil sows. Securely, as thou mayest guard thy dreams, still shall the lambs bleat their eternal screams. A final word of warning from my heart, a simple gist which hath a simple nub. 'Tis silly to be frightened of the dark, the things within it though. There lies the rub.